Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. As promised, we're going to get into those situations of no contact today. So, this is situations of no contact, poor contact, places where they came in but then re-blocked you or re-ghosted out quickly, where contact really and communication isn't what it should be. So that's what we're going to be looking at in messages around that. It's going to be a general reading for this collective. So it's not going to resonate with everybody. And really, as I often say, it shouldn't. If it does resonate with you, please feel free to stick around. Feel free to subscribe, maybe check out some of the other messages that have been associated and that have come before. Let's see here. I think I'm going to use this as my main deck, and then I'm going to clarify in a minute. We're going to start out with just kind of the general energy flowing between the two of you with regard to this lack of communication right now. So some of you are in more, no communication or lack of communication goes different ways for different people. So let's see. We've got the Two of Cups here. There's really an impasse, and this is the in between the two of you kind of energy. So there's something that is we've seen it in the past being used as kind of an excuse on their side to keep quiet, and it's frustrating to you. So again, we've got this situation where, we've talked about this before, where most of you are the divine feminine, and that when we have a runner chaser dynamic, the runner is usually that divine masculine. Many of these divine feminines are not chasing or not chasing very much, and so that's part of what I get here. It's like this person really does want to be chased, and that's part of it. So it's kind of like you're not playing along with the right kind of rules. And there's that Two of Wands in reverse. There's that impasse that we know they're using as an excuse on their side to keep quiet. It's that age difference, or it's the thing that's going to it'll create a political issue for them at work, or it's going to create an issue within their family. There's something here that, like we've seen before, it's an impasse between the two of you that they use as an excuse not to communicate or not to communicate sufficiently. So that energy is strong right there. Like they're throwing it up as a shield. We saw the energy for this, if you look at like the reading that was done yesterday, if you watch that one, there is this really heavy energy, but it's also really electric. That this is still happening within that energy. So they are trying to protect themselves from what honestly it amounts to a desire to reach out because they know they're not healed. Although they do feel like they're trying to be open to lessons. I feel like this is because of what's happening with the third party. So if you got to watch the extended to yesterday's reading, it got really interesting. I did an unorthodox thing where I ran off and grabbed another deck to look specifically at what was happening with the third party. We saw that there was definitely some like it's a force field of fog that happens around this person, but it's like an energy of getting fuzzy, and so here's the thing. They know because of that they need to be receptive to the energy of change and to healing, but they're not there yet. In the process, they feel like they're missing an opportunity with you, even as the sun is coming out and things are starting to change. So this, you see the sun in reverse, the Hanged Man as the sun is coming out, and things are starting to change with this, what we see with this Death card. So here's the card that we've seen this one in reverse now a couple of times. We saw it yesterday. I think that was in the extended too. That extended, this is like an extended to yesterday's extended, it almost feels like. But it makes sense because we were looking at the overall weekend initially to start, and now we're looking at a day within this weekend. So there's this sense of something that is coming to an end, but maybe it's not happening quickly enough for them to be able to catch you. So it feels like it's happening in super slow motion for both of you, but there are new perspectives being gained, like what the Hanged Man would suggest here. But what I will tell you is this is not happening quickly enough for both of you, so you can't really rush it though. With the Death card, the change really is happening. With the Hanged Man, the new perspectives really are coming. With the Sun, though, in the reverse, they really are running the risk of missing this opportunity with you by either not communicating or by communicating poorly. So that's the energy that's between you. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It just is what it is. There's this feeling of being triggered. There's this feeling of so the reason that this is so strong right now is because they feel incredibly guided and passionately guided to come into contact with you in some kind of way. Like, some of them are trying to figure out, how coincidental could I make this look? On the other hand, they're incredibly afraid to reach out and to communicate with you because they know that they're not healed. There's a sense of them feeling like they're going to be triggered, moving into old codependent ways, and yet feeling like they've got this magnetism that's going to allow them to do it anyway. King of Pentacles says, no, I've healed enough. The Devil card in reverse reiterates, no, I've healed enough. But we've seen enough of this guy in the upright to know that this is a partial healing. So I'm not going to take this away from your person. But I will say they still have a long way to go. They've absolutely done some healing and getting out from under the thumb of something that controls them, but I would also say this is just them having a good day. And so afterwards, when you have that good day energy sort of closes, that's where you see them starting to ghost back out or to reblock you. So they feel confident as they're coming in that they've done what they need to do in order to not miss this opportunity, which is honestly what they're trying to do. But they're not completely there yet. You're going to see something though that you'll find incredibly charismatic and incredibly compelling. Okay. So no, they haven't healed. No, they're not out from the under the thumb of everything that controls them. However, you're going to see some progress that, maybe it isn't like a huge amount of progress, but it's very important progress. I would say that. So if you are one of the people that hears from your person in this energy, because we're looking at the energy that's flowing between you right now, and even in those people where you haven't had communication in some time, there is the energy of, but I just want to. And the thing is, some of them are very veteran to this level of energy and are able to say, nope, this too shall pass, this energy, and they know this window of energy is going to close. When it does, they will maybe be able, depending on what follows it, they may be more able to be resistant if they're able to hold out. So you'll see some of them holding out, but not without the energy coming right up against you to where you're going to be uncomfortably aware of them not hitting send on something, and that's mostly what's happening. So I'm getting some communications from some of you who are absolutely hearing from their person, but then the window closes and they ghost back out. It's like this reminds me of this King of Pentacles energy. So, and the Devil in reverse. This is a temporary energy of thinking that they're ready to do this. So it's not so much they're not being truthful with themselves. It is that they're not being truthful with themselves, but they don't realize that's what they're doing. With the Ace of Swords here in the reverse, it gives that sense of not being truthful, but it's really just not being right. Like, on some level, they are able to talk themselves into being able to feel better about things because they're having a good day. And we've all done it. We've all been working through something very emotional. You have a good day and you feel really resilient, and the next day you're back down in the dumps. This is like that. This is that kind of energy, only this time they're taking you through it with them because they're using your strength. I mean, we've seen this come up in reading after reading. They are relying upon you for some of the strength that you are able to provide, even just through your bond on the spiritual plane. This is someone who is not prepared to take these steps entirely by themselves, which is part of why we see them coming across as not completely healed. And yet you're so closely bonded. It's like you don't know how to not be bonded to them to help them move through these steps. And they don't know how to do it without being bonded to you either. It's just, it's part of the set of circumstances, but because they're unable to, I guess, learn quickly enough and initiate this change quickly enough, they still feel like they're going to end up getting triggered when they reach out. And so some of them are going to be able to avoid it and remain silent. You felt it. You probably felt this before, you know, and it's ramping up to what feels like kind of this fever pitch again this weekend. Let's look into that. What's happening with this no, slow, or kind of no communication, slow communication, or that very back and forth sort of energy communication? It's insufficient. It's insufficient energy going back and forth. That's one of the things that comes out of this pretty strongly. So here's that sun in reverse again, missing the opportunity and knowing it. Like there's a sense of failing and being completely aware of it. There's also this sense of not feeling that they're worth it. So that thing that ramps up on the good day that makes them feel they are worth it is what's usually working in the opposite. So this feels like the downfall of a narcissist. I mean, I know there's lots of you who aren't dealing with a narcissist, but there are going to be a lot of you who are, or who are dealing with folks who have these tendencies to behave that way. And so you'll notice the love bombing. You'll notice the cycle of I come in, I'm very vulnerable, and then I skip out again whenever I kind of feel like it's too much. It's not only the narcissist who engages in these things, but it is also the narcissist who engages in these things. So it's a sense of this emotionally limited, you see this emotional limitation. This is what lies beneath the surface, not believing that they are truly good enough. This is judgment in reverse. This is King of Cups in the upright, by the way. So it was King of Cups in the upright, just to kind of keep track with the cards. This is that sense of emotional limitation. This one will dabble in emotion, but will not go too far. This is that vulnerable person who will get to a certain point and then suddenly close up. Here's that King of Pentacles in the reverse saying, well, under the surface, I don't really feel like I deserve this anyway. And so I'm sabotaging myself in this relationship. And that's where you're seeing them missing opportunities, almost it seems like intentionally, because on some level it kind of is. We have the Judgment card in reverse here also, that's kind of reinforcing this I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy sort of feeling. It's just got that in there. So this is kind of what's behind the scenes for the people that aren't communicating, and here's why. In your current energy, you might see them come out of hiding. This reminds me of what we saw, and it was the last time we had an eclipse cycle, but it was earlier this year in April. We had quite a few people who started to return after like years. You know, it was these were not people that anyone was expecting to return. You know, this was, and they didn't return for long. You know, they came in, they drunk texted, they ghosted back out, whatever it was, you know, but they didn't, it was interesting because there was a wave of them, and it was a whole bunch of wave of like what I would call disbelieving people, disbelieving divine feminines who were saying, you know what, I'm just going to move on. And then here comes this person that it's been years, you know, it's got that kind of feeling to it over here where I'm like, are you kidding me again? I mean, it's not to give you false hope. Honestly, it's just telling you what the energy, what's in that energy, because I'm not sure it's hope exactly. You have the option to patch things together and to reunite with this person, but there is a lot of reconciliation within them and between you that hasn't yet been done, and it could be very difficult to accomplish that quickly. So this may be another cycle, which is, I wouldn't say there's no hope. What I would say though is that it's probably not quick to resolve. It's probably something that takes a little while. They do rely, like we were seeing here, fairly heavily on your strength, but this is more a memory of your strength. So this reminds me of like relying on your what would someone do kind of feeling, you know. All right, so somewhere in there the doorbell rang and the interruptions began, and I thought I would just go ahead and stop the video and kind of I have this ability to kind of stick a bookmark in it, you know, for what I'm thinking. What I was saying about this Nine of Pentacles is that they're relying upon sort of a memory of how you would handle something. So it's the what would you do sort of situation. What would my divine feminine do in this situation? That's the kind of utilizing their strength or utilizing your strength that you'll find them doing sometimes. But you also have this Knight of Wands, okay? So this is really, this is that tendency for them to want to be able to come in and go. This is a desire for control of a situation and knowing that it's kind of a bad thing to do to someone, or that it's, we just had a reading a couple of days ago where it was this sense of, that you're keeping somebody in a holding pattern and you don't feel good about it, but you're doing it anyway because you're hoping that you can get it together in time. There's that sense of this, like, knowing that it's not the right thing to do, knowing that they're kind of yanking your chain, but also continuing to do it because they feel like they can. So there's something to be considered in there. If you want to be in more of a situation where you say, you know what, I'm not going to chase them, but I'm also not going to let them come and go like that. That's within your rights to do so. There is a need to, and it's recognized on both sides here, there is a need to treat each other with equal energy, equal give and take. That's really what this Six of Pentacles is all about, but it's not one that we've seen very much of in this relationship. With the Two of Swords here, there's a decision that has to be made, and it's one where your person kind of has to figure out what they're going to do. They're up against a decision with regard to this impasse and with regard to this kind of willful utilization of something as an excuse that in honestly doesn't hold a lot of water. So if it's an age gap, or it's an age difference rather, there may be something where their family says this is a big no-no, but in reality you look at the situation and you're incredibly well suited for one another. It's something that could be perceived as a non-issue just as easily. And so that's kind of the decision they have to make, but it's not that simple. This is a tough one for them because it's all about changing some values that they've grown up with, or they actually have something to get past here. They actually have something to get past, even if they don't recognize that on a fully conscious level. And it's part of the reason that they have an issue. It's like an unconscious bias and having a judgment about themselves for having an unconscious bias. That's a little bit of what this reminds me of. So they've got some things they've got to work out within themselves. And that's part of that reconciliation within the self that has to happen before the reconciliation can happen between the two of you. And those are the things that happen prior to the reunion in the physical, ideally. Although definitely there are going to be situations where you see some of these things happening at the same time, where they're reconciling inside, you're reconciling inside, you're finding peace together. There may be no time in between those reconciliations occurring. This doesn't have to be a long drawn out thing, but in many cases it is, and it will be. So we've got that silence, that communication. They've got a huge communication that they're carrying, but they're not delivering. That's the sense of it here. Very significant communication that they're carrying. We see this current energy of it kind of breaking down. And the thing is, this isn't about current energy. This is about the inevitability of what's going to happen with this. We just know that that's the direction that it's going to go. It has to do with that Five of Pentacles that we just saw there. That was, I don't think it, well, we'll see if it comes back out, but it's, it felt like an honorable mention to say, well, these are the lessons that you're learning. Because remember, the overlap of the lessons that you're learning is in the area, partially in the area of the big three, which is that fear of rejection, fear of betrayal, fear of abandonment. So there's a need to really redistribute some energy on both your sides. This is a matter of getting control of your emotions, or I said that and it's like it's right here. Finding that emotional self-mastery, finding the ability to do this, but getting past that tendency to hide. This person has such a strong tendency to hide. They hide from their emotions. They hide from someone who triggers those emotions. They definitely hide from somebody who triggers a change in those emotions. And that's a strong thing that we have going on here. So they're very much stuck with this energy, just like you're stuck in this energy. There's a tendency for you both to be kind of going through this cycle and not be able to break free. That is very much a sense of what's happening here, but this is the answer. This is the answer for both of you. And we've been seeing this one in readings for months, but it's not that simple to go get. This is that thing that's going to set your soul on fire. And both of you have some element of this. Now, for your person, it may be a hobby that gets bigger, or something that they do that allows them to redirect some energy. For you, I think it's a little bigger than that, and more of a, not just an idle or small passion, but a big one. This is something that you're giving yourself over to a certain degree, but it allows you to see things in a new perspective with your person that actually helps to give you a little bit of that emotional self mastery that's really going to be needed on both sides. With the Knight of Swords, though, with the Knight of Swords in the reverse, this is your person's fear and tendency to want to hide and run away. So there's a lot of that's what they have to get over. That's something that's happening here that is, some of this is shared, some of this is, here's what's happening kind of between you that makes it this way and the circumstances around it. And I'm curious to know how you unlock this. So for sure, a little bit of redirection of energy is going to be needed. But what about the rest of this? Like, this tower's coming down. What do we need to know? I think that's maybe what we look at when we get into the extended, but we're not there yet. Let's look here. We've got the Page of Swords in reverse, which really just reflects a lot like this Knight of Swords in reverse. It's a tendency to want to hide, but this is more of a conceptual hiding from even doing things that are in your comfort zone anymore. So your comfort zone like retracts into something really small under this energy. That's what's happening with your person. It's like a, it's just, they can't even help it happening. It's an automatic response. But yet they've got all this passion that makes it kind of difficult for them, especially because they have the ability to make this come true, or to allow this to come true. You know, if they wanted to allow things with you to grow and to make things truly impressive, and dare I say epic, because I kind of hate utilizing that term. I think it gets overused sometimes. But that's really kind of it's the right word for the job. And it's throughout, across circumstances, throughout circumstances, whether those circumstances are lifetimes within this lifetime, lifetimes in the broader sense. There's a lot here that they have to allow to unlock. And so there's a lot riding on this silence. That is basically what's happening. I mean, there's a lot riding on this silence, and I think we could maybe look to see, well, what's it going to take to get past the poor communication, the silence, the time in no communication for many of you. What is it going to take to get past that? We'll look at that when we get into the extended, but first let's get you some advice. I like to make sure that some advice comes out for you in every reading, because this is a collective of people who is very interested in getting to the solution, you know, getting to the edge of things. So this is interesting. You are on fire coming through with this energy. Okay, so you have this very flame is growing sort of thing going on. And I've noticed this already. I think I've said it in this reading, that your flame is growing, and it feels like that's kind of as you go towards the end of this year, that's where it's headed. But you've got this Knight of Cups. This is you initiating a communication of some kind. Could be a really gutsy communication. I don't necessarily get the sense that it is to your person. I think this might be something in the area of that passion, or, you know what, I'm going to finally make the call. There's something that's really exciting to you, but you maybe haven't had the opportunity to move forward, or you just kind of, it's on your to-do list, but it's not been happening. This is the energy of you making that call, and it is huge. It marks the end of a cycle of mediocre levels of bravery. So you may have exhibited heroic levels of bravery in the past, but what I will say is, for you, it's not your highest level. And so what you're unlocking here is the ability to do some things that may truly have seemed impossible to you just a few short months ago, maybe even a few weeks ago. You have this curious ability to jump into something and just like be curious. It's a curiosity about you, curiosity, creativity, ability to put things into words in an artful way that just seems to work for you at the time. So watch for that to kind of come out. This Page of Cups, again, reflecting a lot like this Knight of Cups. You're almost like a salesman in this energy. I mean, it's really just, you're very influential in this energy. It's no wonder that you guys have this magician energy between the two of you, and why they're so afraid of it, because you have all the capacity in the world to pretty much create whatever you want, to manifest whatever you want, and you do have that air of being successful about it. So there's something very, very positive that's coming through with you, because it also seems like it's not just the ability to manifest, but it's this ability to use your powers for good. You know, it's a tendency to use your powers for good, and you're encouraged to do that because it strengthens you. When you do things that move toward the good, whatever that means for you, because it's not going to be the same for everybody, then you're going to strengthen yourself, that in a way that ramps you up. So the reason it's not the same direction for everybody, not so much that values need to shift that much, and between people to kind of agree that like killing people is bad. I don't mean like it's an issue with that. What I mean is what's best for you versus what is maybe the recommended course. Maybe you're a severe introvert and you're being guided to handle things in an extroverted way, and you figure out, no, I'm going to own this introvert nature and I'm going to do something that more appropriately works for me. So that's the idea. But it's not an easy thing to do, and you haven't been asking the right questions. So what I see here is you have an opportunity with this energy to start to ask some of the right questions. So just allow things to slow down a little bit. Allow yourself to start kind of swimming around in the questions, because you're going to start asking, and it's okay. You don't have to ask the right question right off the bat. It's okay for you to say, you know what, I'm not entirely sure how I want this to go. Let me start to think about this, and just sort of riff on it for a little while. It's not necessarily having all the answers all at one time, and being okay with that. So let's see, I just dropped a bunch, but they all landed face down. Didn't want to be part of the reading. So I've had a couple of them that seemed like they wanted to turn over, and the energy, well, there's one. Okay, so that turned over in a strange way, but the energy was like wanting to push out of me at that time. So the King of Swords, this is a tendency for you to, or it's a need for you to step back, take a look at the big picture, and just honestly taking that step back and getting the different perspective is what's going to be needed. You have some healing that needs to happen and some things that you need to set down. So you're a little too influential. We talked about you having this incredibly influential energy, but not that you're too influential, just that you don't need to be spread as thin as you maybe are. So this 10 of Wands is saying, hey, take a look at what's coming your direction and decide one thing at a time if it makes sense for you to take it on, because this is how you're going to lighten that load. By truly determining what needs to happen, go with the flow. So there are going to be things that come to you. We know there's something that comes to you where you then respond to it, and you have this opportunity around responding to it. Again, more fallen cards, but they fell face down. So you've got opportunities that are coming your direction, and I see you grabbing them. Like I see you grabbing them with the right level of, here, I'm ready for this learning curve. It's not necessarily I'm not afraid. It's just the ability to confront that fear. And I just dropped more cards. And again, not one of them is falling face up. So that means I'm just lazy. I'm not even throwing them off of there for a purpose. We have the King of Cups. So this is talking about your own emotional limitations and your own ability to deal with what you've already got set into motion that's coming your way with the Three of Wands here. You just, you've got some things moving in your direction that are already coming in and that you've already set into motion. You're the one that is manifesting these things. So it's very positive, but you've got to kind of allow it to happen in order for it to work. I think with this is very much a you specifically energy. This is very much focus on you and focus on these opportunities that are arising for you right now. I think when we get into the extended, maybe we also look at some of the opportunities that are coming out for you, because we are going to take a look at kind of what is happening with this, what it would take to get your person out of the energy of quiet, of choosing quiet as their best option, and then also what the opportunities are for you. So if you're interested, the extended is down there. The link to the extended is down there in the description for the video. I look forward to seeing you there. Otherwise, I will see you in tomorrow's reading.